All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to Webinar Wednesday. eTrain ETC has made it easier than ever to create your online training content while maintaining cost effectiveness. And today we're proud to introduce eAuthor1 2.0 with a live demo. Before we get started here today, I do want to be cognizant of the 15 minutes of time we have here today, and we promise to finish up on time. And if you have any questions, I do encourage participation via the Q&A box below. Aside from that, we do have a group of panelists from eTrain here today, and I would like to introduce Ben Barnard, Director of Artwork here at eTrain. He has a great presentation here for us here today. And without further ado, Ben.
Let's get started. So what I'm going to do is just going to walk through the creation of a very basic sim using custom images. When you first log into the software, this is what you're going to see. Number of sim examples on your left and tools that we have available to our users here on the right. To start my sim, I'm going to click on New Simulation. And we have three ways to start any sim. We can start in the sim wizard. And if you've never made a sim with us before, it's a great way to get acclimated with the sim creation process that we have. It'll walk you through step by step on how to do it. We also have an AI assisted feature here called eMentor1. And what that will allow you to do is put in some basic instructions and build a sim from there. And then we have pro mode. And what I tell people is you don't need to be a pro to use pro mode. It's just all of the features that we have available to our users right there from the very beginning. And it doesn't really matter where you start, whether it's a sim wizard or eMentor1, you can always port your stuff over to pro mode at any time. So I'm going to go to pro mode and I'm going to give my sim a name. Webinar. We also have this handy little feature here for a brief description, so you don't have to constantly enter your sim. If you can't remember what's in there, you can just leave yourself a little note. Pretty great. So I got my title, going to click create, and it's going to bring me right into the editor. And the way we have this structured is we have encounters, states, and objects on the left, and encounters are like the chapters in a book, and states are the pages inside. So what you do is you set up your encounter, and any interactions that you have, you set up as your states. And I'm going to start by adding an encounter. I'm going to give it a number here, just 01. You can name it anything you want, and you can change that name at any time. So I have my encounter here, and it's created a state for me, my first state here, state 1. And I need to add an image to it. So I'm going to click the big button in here in the center, and I can add images from our library. I have some additional images here that I've added to my library. And any images that you have in your library will show up in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a custom image. And I have a few here to choose from. I'm going to choose this first one. And we can crop any image. So if you have photos that you're using for this, they don't have to be perfectly sized. You can bring them in and then use our cropping tool to get them sized for the tools that we have. I'm going to click save. And in just a brief moment here, I'll load that up. So now I have the background. And what I want to do is I want to be able to click on something in this scene. And I need to add an anchor, or what we like to call a highlight. So I'm going to select my scene, go to create highlight, and let's name it face. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a highlight for the patient's face. It's going to start out here as a circle. And I can size it up, I can change its color. And then what I can do is I can move these points around to roughly make a highlight the shape of my patient's face here. And if I have too many points, I can delete them. Just go from there. It's pretty handy, allow you to create custom highlights. Usually I start with a circle, but I was messing around with this earlier today and I just like making the face, so I'm going to do that now. And it happens pretty quick. And you know what? If you didn't like this and I thought maybe I could do a better job later on, I can always come back in and edit this at any time. It's a big feature of this new version of the tools is we've Everything is much more flexible. So you can come in at any time, update text. Like I said, these highlights, you can do that at any time, including these images too. And I'll show you that in just a second. So I have my face highlight here. I click save, and there we are. And what I'm going to do is going to add a click to it. So I'm going to add a choice for the user. We're going to check the face. For what? I don't know. Just going to add that in. Click add. This is the correct choice. And anytime you have a correct or incorrect choice, by default, we have a display tip that comes up for the feedback that is correct or incorrect, depending on whether or not you've set it to be correct or not. So we have correct, and that's my feedback. I'm going to click advance the state, and that's just so when I do this correct choice, it'll move me to state 2 once I create that. So I have my correct choice, and maybe I want to do something wrong here. So I have my correct choice here. I'm going to add an additional click. Ignore the fix. And that is incorrect. I've unchecked correct. And like I said, we've got some default text here for that. So I have my choices here. And, maybe I want to click on the arm. I'm going to add one more highlight here. Arm. Move that into place. And I'm just going to size it up a bit and change its color. I'm going to add a click to that. And we're going to check the arm. And this is also going to be incorrect. And, if I change my mind later on, I can come back through and make this correct. Again, things are very flexible here. So I'm just going to preview this just to see what I have so far. And when we preview things, and we're doing this to just check to see, how our work is coming together, we can check it at any time. So we can check it by state. We can check it from the very beginning. When I add a quiz at the end, we could just check the quiz. So we have a lot of options here for how to troubleshoot some things during production. So I have my first state here. Click OK. We're just going to check this, what I have here. So my highlights appear. Got my 2 highlights. I got my incorrect choice over here with confidence. Shouldn't have checked the arm. Oh, another wrong choice there. And then I have my correct choice. So everything's working. But let's say, I didn't like the feedback that I had there. Well, I can check that. Click right there, go to display tip, and I can edit this. And the places that we have text like this where you can edit, we have the basic text editor features here to edit your text. You can also add images, links, and videos, anything to reinforce the learning. And I'm going to click OK. And before I move on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another state. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this first state and I'm going to duplicate it. And what it's done is it's copied my 2 objects here, and that's great because what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse one of them. I'm actually going to hide this first one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to update this image. And this is really great, especially if you're prototyping your sims. You want the flexibility to just put an image in, whether or not it's incomplete, maybe stick figures or whatever, just to sort of map things out. And then it really allows you to progress through your sim and just work through your ideas. You're not locked into any one thing at any time. So I have my image here. I'm going to edit background. I'm going to swap it out for another one. There's my image. Click save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that arm highlight that I had here. I'm just going to move that into place. And I'm going to rename that chest. And I'm going to add a click to that. To the lungs. And click add. And this is going to be correct. And it's going to advance the state. And we're good. let's just preview what I have. I'm going to start from state 1, and we'll just go through the 2. So I have my correct choice here. Check the face. It's correct. And I have my second state here where I'm listening to the lung. And I can keep going. If I wanted to add additional states, I can. And every time I would add additional state, I can update the image. I move my highlight objects into place or add new ones or subtract what I don't need, edit my clicks, and so on. Now I'm going to preview this one more time from default this time. And you'll notice that I have pre-training. So at the beginning of every sim, you have the option of presenting additional information to your users before they get into the sim. And I'm going to edit that right now. I'm going to go up here to pre-training. And by default, we have 3 pages. We have introduction, learning objectives, and case summary. We can delete these pages, we can add additional pages, and we can edit them at any time. So I'm going to go to introduction. And edit this at any time. And again, we have the typical text editor features here, and you can add images and video and links as needed. Click save, go back, and I'm just going to delete the case summary. You know what? Maybe I'm going to add a page for patient history. And click add. My placeholder text. And before I preview this, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go back into the editor here. And at the end of each encounter, we can follow it up with an assessment. So it's just another type of encounter here in the sim. You can follow up any encounter with an assessment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on a little plus sign here. I'm going to add a new encounter. This time I'm going to set it to assessment. Name this quiz and click add. And it'll bring me right into the quiz editor. And click the little button here to add a question. Should you ignore the patient? And I'm going to edit it. And again, basic text editor. We can add images, links, and video. I'm going to come down here to my answers. And we have, by default, we have 1 correct and 1 incorrect answer. I'm just going to edit that. No, you shouldn't. Patient. This is the correct answer. And then we have the wrong answer. Just, yes, you should ignore the patient. That is wrong. And then you know what? You can always add an additional answer too. Maybe. Maybe we should ignore the patient. Maybe not. That is a wrong answer. I'm going to leave that as incorrect. And once it's done, I'm going to click save, and I'm going to preview from default this time. And we can just run through the entire sim. So we have the pre-training pages that I have edited here. We have the one that I added. And then we're going to have a introductory video. And this is just to introduce the users to our sim if they've never taken a sim with us the first time. And then I have my sim, and I have my first choice here. Get that right. My second choice. I'm going to finish the sim, and then I have my debrief. So at the end of each encounter, we have the debrief report. So the users can see how they did. And then we have our quiz. I'm going to get this wrong. And then that will have its own debrief report. And when we get to the end, we have the debrief report on everything. So it has each encounter that I might have had in my sim and my quiz.
Thank you very much for that, Ben. And thank you everyone for coming. I do encourage all attendees to come to next week's Webinar Wednesday as well. And should you have any outstanding questions after this demo that you're just not ready to ask right now, or you got to, carry your thoughts and send those questions in, feel free to contact us on the website at eTrainETC.com. And then also, we do encourage you to schedule a demo for a more in-depth and personal look at our suite of products. Just in case you do miss next week's Webinar Wednesday or a future Webinar Wednesday, we do encourage you to, again, go to the website, check those videos out, as well as the eTrainETC YouTube channel. Natalie, for questions.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Ben. Some of our frequently asked questions are our micro simulations able to be put on learning management systems? That is correct. We are SCORM compatible. We can also create X API links for your users to take your simulations from websites. The other thing that is a very frequently asked question is our platform allows you to build simulations, but we also offer that service. Our team utilizes the platform, so we're very familiar with it and can build simulations. We also offer a full suite of services, including custom artwork. You can build simulations with digital images, custom images, video, and we're launching this summer a panorama option, and we can currently use VR with our simulations as long as the artwork is 3D compatible. I see there's a question, is there any limit on how many sims I can add to a course? That's a great question, Dave. Thank you for it. This really can be a much longer answer because it's so fun to build out curriculum and modules. But typically in an LMS, we will set up a knowledge course, and that is followed by simulations that are really pulled from the material where you want stop points. There are critical safety stops or points in a technique or checklist that are absolutely critical to a procedure. So there are these really gems pulled out of this knowledge where people dive into virtual simulation and apply their knowledge with this critical decision making, and they're able to be remediated. So yes, you can have one or multiple simulations following a knowledge course. It's very flexible. And another question from Betty. Thank you, Betty. I have to say, oh, well, thank you. It's a compliment. Thank you. We appreciate you too very much. I think that's it for now. Being careful on our time here, but you can go to our website for our FAQ section. And also, we would love to schedule a short personal demo with you to understand your need so that we can be of service to you. Thank you. Don, back to you.
Thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Ben. Hope to see everyone here next week. And again, feel free to contact us via the website. There's a big contact us button. Also, make sure to schedule your demo. See you soon.